Hello, and welcome back to the SheSuite, where we don't just talk about leadership, we talk about power, access, and who gets to shape the rooms where decisions are made. I am your host, Sierra Johnson Belser, CEO of Inspire Executive Solutions and founder of the Human Algorithm, where I teach leaders to lead at human speed. Today's guest operates at the intersection of business growth, economic development, and people strategy. And that means she understands something that many don't. Who gets opportunity is never accidental. I am so excited to have Martina Winston. You have led inside corporations and now at the level of regional economic strategy. You see the systems, so let's talk about all the truth and all the things in between today. Welcome to the She Suite.
Thank you so much for having me, Sierra. I'm so excited to be here.
And I am excited to have you. So, for our listeners the very few listeners that do not know who Martina Winston is, 'cause everybody knows who Martina is. Tell us a little bit about who you are and your journey to where you are today.
It's so interesting because I would say that my journey is a unique one, because it's a grassroots, buckle up your shoes, roll up your sleeves, every single thing that I've been blessed to be able to do and be a part of. I feel like I can contribute it to hard work and relationship building and people just having trust in me to deliver on the things that I said that I would deliver on. And then also, I just like being around good people and surrounding myself with other good people. So I'll tell you that I am a proud product of the South Side of Chicago. That's really important part of the fact sheet about Martina, because I would say the South Side raised me and provided some really good opportunities and experience and culture for me to get to understand, and become the woman that I am. I'm also, I would say, the proud product of a teenage mom and grandparents who adopted me from my teenage mom and my he wasn't a teenager, he was actually a young adult dad, but my dad was also killed on the South Side of Chicago due to violence. And so it's interesting because a lot of people look at me and they're like, oh my gosh, Martina, it just looks like everything was rolled out in the red carpet for you. And I'm like, no, I'm all the statistics. Name
Mhm.
one, I'm all of them. Teenage mom, grandparents raised in the inner city. I'm also a Black woman
Mhm.
in America. So that's another podcast.
Yep.
And then I'm also was a product of having a father taken away from her at a very young age and having to navigate some things a little bit differently. So I am extremely blessed to be where I am today. And that's why I tell this a part of my story when I do the intro, because people think that it's just all rainbows and roses over here. And it was some thorns to get to where I am today. But I'm super blessed. I am the Chief Business and Member Services Officer for the Birmingham Business Alliance. I've been in Birmingham for a little over 18 years, and I'm blessed to be married to my husband for coming up on 24 years this July. And we've been blessed to raise two lovely children. My daughter's 21 and my son is 18 and will be graduating from high school this May.
Woohoo!
Go. Yes, I'm super excited. And again, blessed with beautiful kids. And I can't say how blessed I am.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I don't even think I knew that information about you, but I think it sets the tone and the stage for how life can life for some of us very early on.
Yes.
And how we come through those different phases of life on the other side. It just shows that you have been able to overcome so many things and probably prove, which is always the best part of life, right? When you can get your naysayers to sit down and be humble, as Kendrick Lamar would say. So
Yes.
thank you so much for sharing that. And I feel like we have connected once again on so many levels because I have always felt like you and I are these big, huge personalities. We love people. We both share the love of HR and diversity, equity, inclusion, and girls that do pageants and all the things that we have
Yes. Yes.
common over the years. So to learn that, your childhood has its stories and trials and tribulations just like mine did. But look at where we are today, and it all made us better women for it. So
That's right. That's right.
So let's start here. You have worked in the talent space for majority of your career, so
Mhm.
you know that talent alone doesn't determine who rises, especially as women. So,
That's
what
right.
actually determines who gets access to the opportunities?
I think the hungriest people gets the access to the opportunity, and I say that because, as you were just mentioning, there are a lot of different trials and tribulations and experiences that really make people who they are and what they
Mhm.
are. And what I've been able to learn, not only from myself, but watching people, coaching people, helping to put people in the room, it's really important to see those folks that actually don't mind being challenged, don't mind failing and failing fast. And also, I'm going to tell you too, the people that really focus on creating a brand that is authentic and genuine, those people win every single time.
Mhm.
And those are the people that I'm putting my money on. Those are the people that I'm going to put the bet on, if that makes sense. And
Mhm.
even when I think about myself, it's not the, disingenuous. It's not that I'm going to show up as someone that's not true to myself. When people see me, and I tell people all the time, what you see is what you get. You don't ever have to worry about what I'm thinking or how I'm feeling because it's going to be all over my face, or I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on and how I'm feeling. And I also want to, make sure that I'm giving what I want people to give me as well. And so I've seen other people react and interact in that way and how they move. And I always see that those people that are the hungriest, the people that are the most authentic and the most genuine, those are the people that always come out on top.
I am so glad you said that because brand building is so important
Yes.
to anyone in a professional space.
Mhm.
I was just talking with another podcast guest about LinkedIn and
Mhm.
how there are some highly valued professionals that I know that I go to look at their LinkedIn space and I see nothing. They don't have a picture up, there's no information. And I'm like, how is it that we're in 2026 and people don't understand the importance of personal branding? Um, and especially on a platform such as LinkedIn
That's
and how
right.
valuable that is. But then I also think about you just transition jobs
Mhm.
and you have the opportunity to leverage your personal brand to land you a role that is perfect for who you are and what you do.
Thank
So
you.
that's a huge takeaway for anybody that's listening that your personal brand is has to be separate from the company that you work for, that may not always be the company that you're going to be with, number one. But number two, companies are buying you, not
That's
what you did for the companies that you've been attached to. So, thank you for bringing that up.
I think, Sierra, I don't know if I've always known that.
Mhm.
If that makes sense. I think it is, as I've matured personally, as I've matured professionally, is something that I've learned. And it's probably also been to picking up and listening to a few people. And I appreciate you bringing up just the career transition. I was with my previous employer for 12 years and honestly thought that I was going to be there for a really long time. And I definitely had a brand internally, but I also had a brand externally that kind of followed me, throughout the city of, oh, she's representing that particular organization. But I found very quickly through the transition that there were other parts of my life that people also recognized me from as well. And you've got to make sure that wherever it is that you're showing up. So, as I mentioned, I have two kids, and even in my kids' community, meaning where they go to school, where they play sports, all that, it was also important of how I showed up there too, but you weren't getting anything different. So if I'm hooping and hollering at a basketball game for my son, I'm gonna be that same person that's hooping and hollering somewhere else. And people know that I bring a lot of energy in anything that I do. So if it's, solving a business problem, working, on a complex issue within an organization, or I'm doing a community philanthropic, type of work, I'm going to be very passionate. Or again, I'm watching my daughter, cheer on the sidelines. I'm going to be just as passionate there. And your brand is everything. It's
Mhm.
everything. And I feel like your brand is something that you can, it's a cash in, cash out. And if it's not what it needs to be, people pick up on that.
50% they do.
Mhm.
And on that brand is something that is it's valuable, but I don't think people think significantly enough about, because it is just so important to make sure that you have your own identity and that you're honing in on that and that you're sharpening that tool every chance that you get because you want to be mentioned in those rooms that you're not in.
That's
You
right.
get mentioned a lot because you are very outward in the community and very active in a lot of things. So you were mentioned in rooms that you were never even knew you were mentioned in, which helped you when you needed to land your next big role. So that is so important and especially important for women as they navigate through their careers.
And Sierra, both of us have young women that we're
Mhm.
helping to grow and mold and build, and we also have two sons that
Mhm.
we actually have the same.
We have the same dynamic. Yeah.
And I tell my children that all the time, as well as I have, both that have been athletes or currently, as we talked about our daughters and pageants. I have to remind them that that is a part of you, but it's not all of you. And
Absolutely.
you got to think about your brand outside of walking on a stage in a beautiful dress or putting a ball in a hoop.
Mhm.
Like, you have to be more than. And I get it. I don't know if when I was 21, if my mom or someone else was said that to me, it would like all the light bulbs would have went off. I probably would have done the same thing, like whatever. But it's been beautiful for me to see, even with my daughter, as I think a few of the dots are connecting for her because of
Mhm.
some of the rooms that she's in. And I was like, you've got to be able to think about, how do you want to show up? And when you're not in the room, to your point, as you mentioned, you want to make sure that your name is still being mentioned, but also still being mentioned in a positive way. And people aren't trying to guess around who's showing up.
Mhm.
Mm.
I'm glad you mentioned that. So I did pageants in my younger years. I am a has been. Um, so from about the age 13 to age 24, I was competing in the Miss Alabama system. And they always talk about how you wear that crown and take it off for the last time. And you go through this identity crisis of not being Miss Silicaga, not being Miss Alabama, not being Miss America, and what that transition feels like after you've let go of the crown.
Mm,
And when you have competed for that long, I have always been tied to that industry,
mm,
and what I used to do and who I used to be. And so then I had to figure out from 24 till about 26, who was Sierra? Because
wow.
I had always been Miss Talladega County, the first Black Miss Licata, the something. And then I ended up having kids. So then I really never figured out who Sierra was. Then I ended up being somebody's mama and somebody's wife. Like, I
Yeah.
always had another title. And then once the divorce happened, I had to spend that my 30s basically figuring out, okay, let's dial it all back to who
Hmm.
is Sierra at her core, outside of being Caleb and Brianna's mother, outside of
Hmm.
being so and so's wife. Who is Sierra? And it took me my 30s. So if somebody had have sat down and told me, hey, these are the light bulbs that you need to be working on now in your teens before you put that crown back in the box for the last time and set it up on a shelf.
Yeah.
And then with Brianna, she competed, and I think she's decided to take a break or not compete. I don't know what phase she's in life right now, which is totally fine because she's in college.
Yeah.
And so today she just had her capstone interview to
Oh,
be a part
nice.
of Capstone Men and Women.
Big
And
deal.
I am seeing her interview skills and all the skills that she gained when she did compete
Hmm.
come out into her college life. And so
Fantastic.
getting to be a part of all these different organizations, but she just came out of that interview and called me and she's like, "Oh my God." There were 12 people in that interview and it didn't phase me at all. I had so much fun. They kept knocking on the door, getting me to come out and they kept asking questions. I was in there for 10 minutes and she was just, and I was like, okay, thank you, God. Because, as a mother, all I see are these thousands of dollars of pageant gowns that are in this closet that nobody is. I'm like, what was the point of me spending all this money? But God is showing me now, okay, yeah, she may not be in these gowns anymore, but look at everything she's gained and what
Look
she's
at how she's
using.
carrying those skills. Ah, spot on. Ah,
Yes.
That's awesome.
So your
Now
baby
I'm a
is
moment.
exactly, and your baby is doing the exact same thing. I
Yes.
see her all over
Yes.
modeling and being so poised and speaking and doing things with her platform. And so these are all the life skills that they gain
Mhm.
with or without a crown to
That's
move
right.
on throughout their life. So I love that for both of us, but I love that
Yes.
we're able to teach our girls this at an earlier age because it is so important for them to figure out
So
in the 20s who they are and not at 45 when they're in a career transition and
that's right.
you know, so
That's
a
right.
lot to be learned there. Okay. We got off on a tangent, but that's fine. It was a good one.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was a good one.
So you have had the opportunity to be in some rooms where some serious decisions were made. How different are those rooms from what people really think those rooms are?
Yeah, that's a real good one. What's really funny about the room? So
Mhm.
you have the room and then you have the table that everybody wants the seat at.
Yeah.
The table ain't what people think it is. It's
Right.
not on and popping
Mhm.
like people think. And then even that seat, the seat can be cold, the seat can
Mhm.
be hot, the seat could maybe sometimes not be as comfortable as you think it is. And I've got to take a page after my president, Barack Obama.
Mhm.
And he said that I think he was on a podcast and he was saying that, you get in that room, you get at that table, and you look around and you realize that nobody knows anything around the table. They think that they do. They've got these big titles
Mhm.
and they don't know any more, or 9 times out of 10, they might even know less than you do. And I think that there's this intimidation factor because you start to second guess yourself or second guess your ability or, should I be here or should I not? Then when you get at that table and you look around the room, you start thinking, wait a minute, I'm actually the one that should be here. Let me second guess the rest of y'all jokers because I don't know if y'all should be here.
Preach.
And it goes back to what we've been talking about at the beginning of this conversation of how you show up, your brand, you being authentic and being genuine. I've always made sure to make sure that I'm just like, what you see is what you get. As Black women, as, minorities, people of color, and also when you have titles, sometimes you get in this space of wanting to cover or
Mhm.
wanting to act like you shouldn't be there or you don't deserve to be there. And I always make sure that in those scenarios that number one, whatever table I'm going to do my research. I'm going to make sure I know why I'm there so that when questions are being asked, I
Mhm.
want to be able to speak intelligently about what's happening in the room and also not just seen as a fixture because that's sometimes I would say an issue and sometimes what I see being in the rooms that maybe people might not recognize is once you get the seat, you got to work to keep the seat.
Mm. Mhm.
And sometimes we get in those rooms and then we're like, well, I'm here. Whew, finally made it. So I'm just going to sit here and not do anything. And that is detrimental to the work that you did to get there, the
Mhm.
the other people behind you that wish that they were in the seat, and it does no good for the people that you're around because then maybe they're starting to second guess, should we invited that person? Are they adding value? And you want to make sure that you're adding a level. You're being impactful. You're being impactful in that seat. But I think that kind of going back to the main question of what are some of the things or surprises of most people don't know what they're talking about. They don't. I can co-sign on what President Obama was talking about. Most people
Mhm.
don't know what they're talking about. There is an intimidation factor, but you've got to make sure that you continue to show up as I'm supposed to be here.
You said a mouthful. But it was all good because I will never forget working for this organization that I worked for like 5 years. Finally got the promotion that I wanted, finally got to sit in the room with the big chiefs. And I remember sitting in that room, listening to them talk. And I'm like, oh my God, how are we still in business? Like, how did
Yes.
I end up being the smartest person in the room with a C average in math? Like, what is
Mhm.
happening? And was sitting in that room just dumbfounded. So you were right. Once you get to the table and you get to that seat, realization happens.
Mhm.
And you realize I am here because they need me to be
Yes.
here,
Yes.
not just because they're doing me a favor.
That's
But
right.
they cannot function without me being in this room.
That's right.
And once you have that mindset, you have no problem speaking up. You have no problem saying what needs to be said. But then you also realize that they're looking to you to solve the problems.
That's
And it's
right.
not the ones that have the titles and the big paychecks to go with it that are solving the problems. They're relying on you.
Mhm.
So
You're
I
you're
think
spot on.
and I was just like, I've been working all these years and doing all this work to get here, and this is what the big room is all about. You basically just need me to answer all the things that you don't know.
Mhm. Pretty much. And I'll give you another example around getting in the room.
Mhm,
Um, this one probably was the biggest shocker to me, as I was at the board level. So that's another
mhm.
room that so you
Ooh,
got this, yeah, you got this, of course, the professional work, all that stuff. But
mhm,
then when you think about, because as you mentioned, and as I was sharing, I'm very involved in the community.
mhm,
And you sometimes say, oh my God, I cannot wait till I get to like a big board and I'm doing big board things. And I remember one of my first big board assignments. I was so disappointed. Like I was pissed.
mhm,
I was pissed. And I remember having a conversation with the chair at the time. And I said, you know what? I don't have to be here. I realized that this is maybe not what I want. I thought that I
mhm,
wanted this, but y'all in here playing.
mhm,
Like this is not impacting the organization. I can go back and just serve and get
mhm,
more done just serving than
mhm,
sitting here with y'all.
mhm.
Because this right here, we're playing games in here. And I felt used and abused because I'm thinking
Mm,
we were going to be tackling, the hard, strategic,
mhm,
complex, really moving the organization, making those decisions. And I'm like, we're in here playing games with my time, with my money, and I don't want to be here. I started to dislike the organization because
mhm.
what was happening at the board table, it was crazy. It was really crazy. So I wanted to share that too, is that sometimes you find out, you know what, I made it here, but I don't need to be here.
I'm glad you brought up the board situation because what happens in the boardroom is everything that cannot happen in an organization,
Mhm.
right? There
Right.
would be repercussions if some
Mhm.
of the things that have happened to me in boardrooms happened at somebody's place of business.
Yes.
And I remember I was the president of a board. It was my first year. I had all these great, exciting plans and everything. If I wanted to change from Charmin to to some off brand toilet paper,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was going to go through this big, long, drawn out process. Everything that I tried to change was just like push, pull, push, pull, push, pull. And I was like, listen, I finally had to have a come to Jesus and be like, hey, if y'all wanted a president that was just going to continue to run the board the way that
Mm,
we've been running the board, you
mhm.
shouldn't have voted me in.
Mm.
Okay. Number
Yes.
one, this was the
Yes.
voting process. This is the life that you chose.
That's right. Yes.
Okay. But that also comes with financial instability that you have been seeing year after year. I'm here to change the trajectory of the board and move us forward. Either you're going to be with me or you're going to do it without me. But either way, the work is about to get done.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
be pissed off or pissed on. Like it's going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
We finally get through that. And by the time I finished going into that third year, I was just done. I was like, there are other boards and other things that I can spend my time on. I
Mhm.
am tired of dealing with the same simple minds.
Mhm.
Um, but it was effective. We got a lot of things done. They were set up for success, but it was not without some gray hairs on my part. For
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Again, going back to Obama, you see why. how he entered the White House and then how he exited the White House,
Uh-huh.
where he had more grays. And I completely get it.
Yeah.
I completely get it. But it does become a little disappointing sometimes because you're
Mhm.
like, this isn't what I had imagined. You
Especially
know,
for free.
right. This isn't what I thought it was going to be.
Mhm.
And like I said, I was pissed. I was
Mhm.
upset. And it made me think differently about the organization. And I said, this can't be our strategy. This can't be, you can't
Mhm.
develop some of the best leaders in the organization to finally get to the seat to make them not like you anymore. That can't be a part of our strategic plan.
Exactly. Been working on this board for years, and then I finally get the president seat, and then now everybody has a problem with me. Oh, okay. This is how we're gonna do things? Well,
Yeah.
y'all are about to be real stressed out. But anyway, so what did you or what is one thing you have learned about power that your degree or early career didn't teach you?
That's a good one. I would say power means absolutely nothing, nothing if you aren't treating people the way that you want to be treated and seeing the human side. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter what technical training you have, what experience you have, how many miles you have on your car.
Mhm.
But when I think about particularly, I'm going to say what's happened in our environment. And I'm not just talking about professional, I'm talking about personal. I'm talking what's happened to us in the last 6 years, I think, has been the biggest experiment to me of people. And, Sierra, you and I are in the people business.
Mhm.
We've been dealing with people for all of our careers. And when I've seen some of the just roller coaster rides that people have been on personally, professionally, mentally, financially. I mean, I can go on and on. When I think about even just for me, the things that have happened in my life in the last 6 years,
Mhm.
oh my God, like it's been death, it's been maturity, just getting older and what that means. It's been raising a family through, and you get it too. Like you think that as your children get older, it should be easier, but it's not to me. It's not. I want that. I would much rather have them at 5, 6, and 7.
Mhm.
That was
Anyway.
easy. That was teaching ABCs and one, two, threes and writing sentences. I do that for 100 years.
Mhm.
But right now it's so scary and I feel myself crying and getting more emotional and
Mhm.
praying and just, thinking more about my children and even our own lives. Even as I think about them moving on. My husband and I actually said this last night as we were at dinner and we were thinking about next year with our anniversary, actually this year and our anniversary coming up and what we're going to do. And I was like, well, we don't have to worry about getting somebody back to school because we ain't going to have that.
Mhm.
Like, we don't have a high school to get back to school. Of course, we'll
Mhm.
have college, but technically, they can get themselves back to wherever they're going. They don't need us to.
Mhm.
And that's a different season of life. And so, when I think about things that I just didn't know 25 years ago to what I know now, it's there are going to be a lot of shifts and moves and changes in your life, and you've got to be nimble and flexible. Nothing, absolutely nothing is going to work out the way you have planned.
No.
Nothing, nothing.
Mhm.
And when I think about, as I've had the pleasure of leading people in a lot of different capacities, just again, understanding that people are human and there are other things in their lives that drive their decisions and their motivations. And I can think about being in a corporate setting during COVID and as a DNI practitioner, listening to how people were just straight up struggling
Mhm.
on things like, as Black women, I can't get my hair done. That is a traumatic, triggering experience for Black women.
Mhm.
But if you're not a Black woman and you don't understand how I've been in my house for 3 months and I have not had a relaxer. And of course, I'm not even going to say 3 months. Let's just take the first month or two. And now you have changed the way I work. You're asking me to now be on a virtual screen. I haven't had a relaxer in 2 months.
Mhm.
But you asked me to be presentable, and this wasn't me per se, but as I'm coaching people and helping leaders, and I have a leader tell me that my hat or my headscarf isn't acceptable. But no, what you don't understand is my nappy roots isn't acceptable to me.
Me.
So I can't show up and be my best version of myself
Mhm.
because I have not been able to groom and take care of myself. It's traumatic. It's a triggering experience for me as a Black woman. So
Mhm.
again, I can't perform. I can't do, and I'm bringing this up because there's just so many things that happen to people
Mhm.
that for some reason we sometimes forget that people are human first. People have things that happen in their lives that impact how they show up each and every day. And there's nothing that a textbook or any organization has taught. I've had to learn that myself as I think about things and tragedies that's happened in my life
Mhm.
where people honestly did not care at all. And in some cases, it broke me. And in some cases where you just still try to show up, and I think actually you and I talked about this before. You still try to show up and
Mhm.
you've got stuff going on in your life and they don't care. And then
Mhm.
they say things like, but you're not yourself. Well, of course I'm not myself. I've lost somebody that's really important to me. And no, I can't get over it I can't just get over it after the weekend is over. And so that I would say that's the thing that I've learned as a leader, that there are things that happen in people's lives because we're human that impacts how we move each and every day.
And that is why the human algorithm was birthed
Hmm.
because as leaders, a lot of leaders are lacking that empathy piece. And I realized that it was 2020. The world was shutting down on this very day. It was March 13th, 2020. Alabama was shutting down. I had a huge meeting with some corporate leaders in Birmingham with a client that was a big meeting that had everybody rallying up to do what we needed to do. And on my way to Birmingham, I got into an accident on 280 that completely totaled my car. So this is like the world shutting down. I had this meeting and I had an accident. Thank God the meeting was in the afternoon. I am standing on 280 and my girlfriend, shout out to Shanavia Sellers, happens to be driving down and she's like, Sierra, are you okay? I was like, I'm fine, but I have got to get a rental car because I got this meeting at 2 o'clock.
Hmm.
And so she takes me to go get a rental car. I get a rental car. I call the people that I'm working for and I'm like, hey, I was in an accident. And they're like, oh my God, are you okay? But you're still gonna be here at 2, right? Yeah, I'm still gonna be there too. As soon as I get this rental car, I will be right there. But then that's when I realized I was like, okay, y'all don't care about me as the person. You care about the $25 million a year that I give to you in clients and revenue. That is when I learned that this whole we are family corporate culture does not exist.
It's
And
not.
that leading with empathy was something that they completely lacked. And that was when I started making my exit strategy. So,
Wow. Wow. I
yeah.
mean, it you don't want to believe that,
Mhm.
right? Because one day, I mean, I'm knocking on wood here. You don't want anybody to get in an accident. You don't want anyone to lose a loved one. But when it hits you, when the thing happens to you, and then you start to see how people move. I'm gonna give you another example. This
Mhm.
probably is not that appropriate, but oh well, here we go.
Yeah, go, go.
So I have the lovely pleasure of celebrating my 44th birthday on Wednesday.
Hey.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I'm super, super blessed. You gotta love Facebook and LinkedIn, which I actually turned this feature off on LinkedIn. And at one time, I think a few years ago, I actually turned it off on Facebook too, but I turned it back on. But anyway, you know how it prompts you to tell you that it's somebody's birthday?
Mhm.
remember my husband and I talking about this many, many years ago because you get just flooded with the
Flooded.
birthday. And I was like, people don't know what my birthday is. They don't. It's the prompt,
Mhm,
right? And I said, people that really know when it's my birthday, they'll tell me happy birthday and it's no big deal. Well, since I've had some transition here in my life, um, it was funny because there was some people that I have not heard from uh, since that transition
mhm,
who reached out to me on my birthday. And some of them, which I do appreciate the extra, not just hitting the automatic prompt where Facebook already types it out for you, you just go click. But
mhm,
these are some people that actually took some time to either DM me where they had to actually type it out, or they typed out a long message, or a few people sent an email, some people text me. So I give extra credit to those folks that went above and beyond. And by the way, for the people that press the button that I know and love me and all that, I'm not throwing shade, but I am throwing shade at the people that through my transition, I ain't heard from them jokers at all.
mhm,
And then there are a few people that reached out to me here recently, ain't heard from. They're like, oh my gosh, I would love to get together with you. I was like, no, you don't. You
mhm.
don't want to get together with me because if
Absolutely.
you wanted to get together with me, you would have reached out to me through some transitional times in my life. And you didn't do that. So I'm going to give you the same energy that you've been I want you to keep that energy that you had before. I want you to give that same energy today.
Mhm,
And it helps me going back to when just talking about empathy and how people really feel. We've actually gotten worse, I feel like, as a people
mhm,
with understanding where people really are and
mhm.
trying to help to connect with people. And I'm like, I was telling this again to someone yesterday of I have zero energy to give any of those people energy anymore.
And that is a level of petty that I'm carrying with me in 2026 and beyond
Yeah.
because I don't have time and I don't have the space for it. So
Nope.
happy birthday. You're gonna get the click of the like, and
Yep.
I'm gonna keep it moving. Not
There
even
you go.
that's the only acknowledgement you're gonna get.
Yep. There
Yeah,
you go.
you and I are just
Yes.
we are
Two peas in a pod.
two peas in the same pot. Okay.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about women visibility and likability and the trap thereof, since we kind of walked ourselves into this anyway. Why are women still expected to be both high performing and highly palatable?
That's a good one. I think that we as women, we've kind of self-sabotaged ourselves a little bit.
Mhm,
Meaning, as women, we do it all. If there's a gap, we're going to fill it. If there's something needs to get done, we're going to do it. I mean, it is just always the woman that is showing up in the room to get it done. And I
mm,
think that in some cases, what has happened to us is we've we've almost, I think, undercut ourselves a little bit because there are times where we don't want to get it done or we don't have the energy. And there's this level of expectation where, well, Sierra's here, Martina's here, or they're gonna do it. And sometimes you're like, but I don't want to be the
what do?
one to do it. I just want to be the one to show up. So I'll give you a great example. I'm not sure if the guys that I'm talking about is gonna love this, but I'm gonna throw it out there anyway, not to shame them by any means or throw any stones, but this is just an example. So my husband and I have been blessed with a group of friends that we love and adore, and we travel. I mean, we pretty much have lived these last 15 or so years together through, raising our children, through family celebrations and milestones and trials and tribulations and sadness. And we love hyping each other up, and we love picking each other when we're down. And if something is happening, it's pretty much a phone call. Where we pulling up? Where do I need to show up? And we just came back from kind of our 25, 26 slash vacation, and typical couple fashion, the women plan everything. I mean, we do it all, right?
Mhm.
And so at dinner one night, I said, hey, I have something I want to present to the group. What if the guys actually planned our next thing, whatever it is, our next rendezvous, we take a couple of trips a year and they're usually pretty big. And I mean, you would have thought I asked them, I don't know what they thought I asked them, but I had never heard so much chatter from the guys around, wait a minute. Why you want us to do this? And why you want, well, we can't. And I was just like, it's just all I'm asking is just to return the favor so we can just show up. Because there were a couple of bumps in the road, which there are always bumps in the road. So,
Absolutely.
for example, we show up to San Juan. We thought that we had hotel rooms. I thought I had booked us a hotel room. I didn't.
Uh-huh. See?
But here's the funny part, Sarah. Let me tell you something.
Mhm.
This is how we booked this trip. I don't know. We took it in January, probably 8 months ago. I can't remember. This is how crazy we're always rolling around and doing 100 things. I could have sworn, and even my two best friends, my two girlfriends was like, Martina, I know that you booked you at Corey's room. You told us in the group message, hey, I got a room. We're all done. This is how crazy and we just do everything. I still had in my phone on, on my phone where I had the site still pulled up where with the room trying to reserve from like 6 months ago.
Oh.
And what happened was, I'm sure I pressed the button and moved on to something else and got distracted, didn't go back to it. And I was like, but since everything is on me to book, like I was just saying, hey God, why don't you all just get lighten the load?
Uh-huh.
Look,
Just a little
just
bit.
lighten the load a little bit. And you would have thought I asked them to cut off their legs and arms. They just were like completely falling out and dying. And a little bit of their issue was you all are just so picky and you all have the way that you want it. And if we do something, because there is maybe one trip or something that they did and it was not maybe to our standards and
It
we
was a
still
bad
talk
screw.
about it.
Mhm.
Yep. And we still talk about it to this day. And when they do their guy trips, we're like, we could never.
Never. The
Like,
hotel they chose, I would never.
yeah, we could never,
Uh-huh.
never do that. But I go back to again your question of, I just think it's because again, unfortunately, I feel like we've done a little bit of this ourselves.
Mhm.
And then when we want to step back, it's almost like but wait a minute, but you can't because I'm spoiled now and I don't even know how to function without you. And that's at home, that's in the workplace, that's in, community stuff. I think that that's unfortunately what's happened to us. So we've kind of made this bed and now we're laying in it. But I will tell you too, Sierra, it's been like this since the beginning of time. Women have always been the one that has been in the forefront. And a lot of this, when I think about particularly Black women, we had to be the person that was in front because our men were taken away from us.
Mhm.
And so we had to be the strongest.
Yep.
We had to figure out how to remove barriers. We had to figure out how to feed the family, clothe the family, make sure lights, make sure we had a play. Because unfortunately, the men were taken away from us for no reason. So that part of struggling, we had to figure it out. We've always had to figure it out.
That is so well said because you also have to think about, especially Black women through history, we've always been the caretaker of not just our family, the neighborhood. You always had that story about Miss So and so that had all the kids at her house.
That's
The
right.
candy lady, the lady in the church that took care
Yep.
of everybody would come pick kids up and bring them to church. Like we
Mhm.
are always that person to step up and be that for everyone. So not even
Everybody.
just our families. So that
That's
is
right.
such a great point. Have you ever been underestimated in a room and how did you handle it without shrinking?
Oh, I'm sure every day. I'm sure every day. I'm sure every day someone's like, oh, geez.
Probably multiple times a day, but here we are.
Right. I'm 100% sure of that. And I would tell you that, kind of my motto or claim to fame, is I actually love for people to underestimate me. I love it.
Mhm.
Now, it kind of goes back to what I was talking about before, but sometimes it can become almost like this crazy, obsessive, like challenge for me because I'm always wanting to over deliver.
Mhm.
And so then that becomes an issue where now I'm overwhelmed. I've taken on too much. I've done, but there have been times where I've been, um, you know, underestimated on value, what I bring to the table. Can I really deliver on what it is that maybe they want me to deliver on? And if anyone is ever struggling with that, or even how I've struggled with that, I always try to set the expectation to
Mhm.
make sure people understand, here's what you can expect from me. If you ask me to do something, I'm going to do it.
Mhm.
Um, if actually, somebody sent me an email earlier today, and we were at this meeting, and I'm sure I think we had to do introductions or something. I can't even remember what it was. And they were like, "Oh my gosh, I meant to come up to you because I just thought you were so funny." And I was like, "Well, that's one thing you can guarantee that
Mhm.
I'm going to provide some type of comic relief in a room because it just lightens a room."
It does.
And sometimes I think for me, that might make people think that maybe I'm not serious, or
Right.
maybe I don't know what's
Mhm.
going on. But I'm like, oh no, I know exactly what's going on. But I'm also trying to make sure that y'all know what's going on, because you're too uptight, and you can't even breathe because your tie's on too tight, or you got too tight of a belt buckle. And I'm here to provide a little bit of lightness to say, number one, this ain't the end of the world, and we ain't curing cancer.
If I could get the tattoo of "It ain't that serious" somewhere on my body,
Yes.
um, you just totally took me back to a time where I was working on a project at Hyundai, and they needed us to have this certain amount of people by this certain date. And
Mhm,
we also had a backlog of some unpaid invoices. And so my corporate office was like, no, we're not giving these people. And I was like, well, I
mhm.
had told them that they're getting these people, and now be damned, they're getting these people.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Um, to the point where the CTO calls me and is like, "Who gave you permission? We
Mm,
told you to stand down." And he and I are going blow to blow. And I'm like, "Listen, this may be my last day with your organization, but at out here, my name is on the line,
there you
not
go.
yours. They don't know you from Adam." And I
Mhm,
told them that we were going to provide them with people so that they can keep their engine department running and they can keep making cars. That
mhm.
was the promise that I made when I got us this account. And if today's my last day, they're going to get their 232 people and I will go home.
Yeah,
But that's a decision between you and your Jesus, and you need to let me know how you want to work that out.
yeah.
After we had that blow to blow and he hung up in my face, he later calls me back and was like, I sat back in my office and just thought, nobody would have ever said that to me. And I'm glad that you did, because that just lets me
Mm.
type of grit that you have. And
Mhm,
this is why we are this successful at this client,
mhm,
because of the fact that we have a team out there that's willing to go above and beyond and deliver
mhm,
what they promise.
mhm.
So we got over it, but I did go home pretty nervous that day and thought I might need to go and clean out my office, but I
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah. But I mean, those moments, and I'm not gonna say they always work, but
Mhm.
I think it also, not putting words in your mouth by any means, but I know when those moments had happened for me, I it made me feel good about continuing to stay true to who I am.
Absolutely.
And of course, you're an HR person, so you get it. So you know that there's strength finders,
Mhm.
and you got your top five, your top five strengths. And in my top five, which is a really dangerous strength to have, is beliefs.
Mm.
Like, nobody is gonna shake what I believe in. I don't care how much money, I don't care about the title, I don't care what it is. I believe what I believe in. And for someone that's been in the DNI work and space for the last 15 or so years, I actually said that the last, not counting now, of course, because I'm in a completely different capacity, but the last 12 to 18 months was the hardest time in my career, because I continued to fight and advocate for the people that I believe in
Mhm.
and love to my core, no matter who's signing my check or not.
Mhm.
And it became an issue
Mhm.
because I just wasn't going to back down for what I believed in. I just wasn't going to do it. And at the end of the day, I said, I told my husband I was coming home after probably fighting with somebody about the LGBTQ plus community, because I advocate for those folks and I love those folks, or if I'm
Mhm.
advocating for women or whatever it is. And I said, you know what? I had my MLK moment today, had my Malcolm X moment today. And if I got to go down fighting a good fight, I still good.
Yep. We're standing on
There's
business when it comes to DE&I, whether you want to have it or not.
That's right. And I said, it, I don't care what you want to do. I do that. This is who I am to my core.
Mhm.
And so sometimes in that work, people think that, oh, well, it's just the work you do. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. I'm doing this work. When I leave the building, I'm still doing this work. And so you can't shake it out of me.
Nope.
You can't do it. You can't.
It is in my fiber and my DNA at this point, but I
Yes.
have been an advocate for DE&I. That was what my platform was in Miss Alabama, teaching tolerance,
Wow.
30,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So that is just who I am, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna stand on that cross and die on it.
Yes.
I
Yes.
there's just no changing that.
Yeah.
We'll have to have you back so we can just have the DE&I
I
conversation.
know. That'll be great. That'll be great.
We definitely need to be and might have you on a panel with my other friend Angela and see if we can have an hour-long
That'd
conversation
be
about them.
good.
That would be great. Oh, our time. We've just been having a great
I
conversation.
know. Gosh, we've been talking for 53 minutes, but you know what? We should have known.
Yeah.
We should have known.
So welcome to just a conversation between me and Martina, because that's exactly what this
Yes.
call has been. I had about 30 questions on here and we got to about maybe 3 or 4 of them, but that's okay.
I'm sorry. I'm so
No,
sorry.
you've got me to talking too, so it's been great.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the human algorithm. That's a part that we always try to talk about. We already talked about empathy a little bit, and let's talk about adaptability. When have you had to evolve your leadership style to maintain your influence?
That's a great one. I think anytime you are transitioning, joining a new organization, it is really important for you to take a step back to
Mhm,
learn and understand kind of your new environment, your new people, and listening. That
mhm,
listening, oh my gosh, it is so important, to make sure that you're taking time to listen and also to understand the people that are around you. I am a strong component of creating space that will help to make people their most successful.
mhm,
And sometimes, in order for you to do that, you got to learn who the people are, what makes them tick, where are their strengths and where are their opportunities. But when I think about, just kind of that adaptability and having to leverage how I show up as a leader and being the most adaptable, you also have to be very flexible too. And I see that again in transition, joining new organizations, and just taking a step back. I think that that's really important.
that.
Mm.
So helpful.
Yeah, and I'm doing it now in my new role. I've
You
got
are.
a team, and I'm getting to learn them. They're getting to learn me,
Mhm,
and I also think too a part of that adaptability, particularly at the leadership level, is you've got to also be transparent. You've got to be
yeah,
transparent. You don't want there to be surprises or I gotchas and a lot of unknowns. You've got to. I'm a very transparent leader. I'm probably too transparent sometimes.
yeah,
I'm also very open and I'm also very vulnerable. I'm
mhm,
not perfect. I'm going to miss something. I'm going to proofread something and completely miss that I spelled my own name wrong that I've been spelling for 44 years. Well, maybe not 44. I don't know. Maybe I probably was spelling my name like, I don't know, maybe it's 4. I can't remember. But, I'm going to miss some things too.
mhm.
And I think that sometimes it isn't hey, I'm perfect. How dare you? I can't believe you didn't do that. It's being vulnerable and helping people see that, hey, we all fail as long as we fail fast. We figure out what we learned, we get back on the horse and we do it again. But I think in that piece of being adaptable, that vulnerability and being transparent is important too.
100%.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing that because,
Yeah.
again, empathy, adaptability, and connection. Those are the 3 things that leaders have to maintain the culture of their organizations and just to be there for their people and see them
Yeah.
as human first. So,
Yes.
I think that is so important.
I think
Okay,
so
so
too.
I'm gonna ask you the signature question that everybody gets asked on the She Suite podcast.
Okay.
So, what is one truth about women in leadership that the world isn't ready to hear but absolutely needs to?
The one, oh, we can be president of the United States.
Amen.
Like,
Mhm,
what has taken us so long if we can run, obviously we've already proved that we can run boardrooms, we can run big organizations, multi-billion trillion dollar
mhm,
organizations, we can run households, circles around anybody in a household, anybody in an organization. We can run this country. And I think we're scared because we know that. I think that, sometimes when there are other leaders that know that there's another leader that can do it better than them,
mhm,
they're going to do any and everything to sabotage their greatness.
mhm,
That's exactly what's happening at I would say the top of the house is that they know that. They
mhm.
already know that a woman can run this country much better than them, but they don't want it.
Because once you go woman, you're never gonna go back.
That's right. That's
Mhm,
right. And it's also going to expose some of the issues within our government that could have been nipped in the bud a long time ago, because there's some women intuition. There's some things in our minds and our bodies and our spirits and our soul that the
mhm.
Lord gave us that men just don't have.
And
And I'm
woman.
not knocking, I'm not trying to be like, I'm just saying there's just things that
Mhm.
we have been blessed with and we've been given as natural God-given talents that men just don't have. And we can do it.
I literally was having this conversation yesterday about how I don't know if it was Adam, but somebody way back when in the olden days, they realized that we have so much power as women. We create life, we give birth. Then we have to then take care and feed our bodies, feed and nourish other human beings. Like they knew the power that women hold. We
Hmm.
control the destiny of the world. Like if we
Yeah.
want to shut down the population, that's on us.
Yes.
And I think somebody back in the olden days realized, huh, women are really, really powerful. Let's silence them. Let's suppress.
Yep.
Let's make sure that they never know how much power and control they really, really have in this world. And it
Hmm.
has just followed us ever since. But I'm telling you this, we are slowly coming into our own and realizing just how much power we have. We've seen it in some of these political debates and political elections that we've had. And I
That's
think
right.
we're getting better at it. We're not there yet.
We're not
But
there yet.
once we unleash the power of a woman, this world will be different.
It
100%.
it is, and I think that, and I'm not sure if we'll see it in our lifetimes here. I don't know. I'm very prayerful and hopeful. I'm not really sure. As I think we both again think about our children, and this is my daughter and my son.
Mhm,
Not only am I raising a confident, strong, black young woman, I'm also raising a strong, confident black man that will support all women, and helping him understand that you are also a part of the equation and you can also be a part of the problem. Decide which side of the street you're going to stand on. As far as you up under here, you going to stand on the right side of business and help to support. And so I was actually having a conversation. This has been a couple of months ago. I was having a conversation with my son and I said, look, as you think about growing up and becoming a young man, I said, I don't care about nothing else that you do in your life, but I want you to be a good significant other. I want you to be a good spouse. I want you to be a good brother. I want you to be a good son. I want you to be a good grandson.
mhm,
I want you to be a good man that supports other women. And not that, of course, he's done nothing but always support. But I said, if I ever, so I think we were listening to something on the radio, whatever. And I said, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, if there is ever a sign of a girl calling me saying that you put your hands on, I was like, I will be done with you. Like, I'm
mhm,
just not like, that is not what, and I said, when me and your dad go to the good place and maybe we're not here anymore, I want you to always support your sister no matter what. I said,
mhm.
there will be times where you're going to be mad at her. You're going to ask her to borrow $20. She going to say no, whatever. but I was like, I need you to always be there for your sister. Like,
Mhm.
that's why I have both of y'all.
This was
uh,
the plan.
this is a part of the plan. But I think you're absolutely right. I think that there is a power in woman. I have not really thought about until you said that about just thinking about us giving life and all that. I think that's really a big aha for me too. But I've always believed in women. And even as I think about, um, my mom, who is such a strong supporter of mine today. And even when I think about her journey through life and the things that she has had to go through, my mom is one of the strongest women that I've ever met, even through her trials. Like, my mom is the biggest hustler there
Mhm.
is. And I will put anybody I will put my mama up against anybody in these streets. My mama will win every single, my mama's street smarts is above
Love it.
any.
I love it. Love it.
And think that I love that about her. I love that that's who made her who she is, and me too, right? And so I just think every woman has their uniqueness,
Mhm.
and it makes us who we are and what we are, and we are very powerful. And it's great. I love to see women navigate in their own bodies and in their own selves, and how successful they are in their own way. I love it. I love being a woman.
I do too. It's just the
Yeah,
most amazing thing, and especially
it is.
being a Black woman, that just makes.
Oh, I was gonna tie a bow on that, and I say,
Uh-huh.
and especially thank you, Jesus, for
Yeah.
being a Black woman.
Yeah. Martina, thank you so much. You are a breath of fresh air, and I am
You
so
too, sister.
happy that I had the opportunity to have you on the She Squeak, not the She Squeak, the She Suite. This has been an amazing conversation. Just like you and I just talking like we always do anyway.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Doesn't even feel like we did the podcast. But thank you to our listeners. I hope that you found some things that resonate from this amazing conversation with this amazing woman. Be sure to connect with her on LinkedIn because she is everywhere with everybody and you need to know her. Thank you again for being on the She Suite, Martina. Love having you. And I will see you next time in the She Suite. I need to learn how to talk.